Gabby here, and today I have a video I've been so excited to make. Like, honestly, I've put a concerning amount of thought into this video and I'm very excited to be making it. As you can tell from the title, today we are going to be talking about the Precure candy figures, which are also known as the cutie figures. But yeah, we're gonna discuss them and what I believe to be their downfall. As you have known, if you watch my videos, I collect a lot of these. And so today I wanted to really take a deep dive into what I've learned about the candy figures, the research I've done, and what I think could be done to be making them better. And this mother has to be blowing leaves right now. Didn't do it all day. I swear, I literally went out the window to look. This guy's just blowing the leaves away from his car. He's not blowing them into a bag or the street or anything. He just doesn't want them to touch his car. But before we get into the video, I want to share a really special announcement from one of my friends.
Hello, it's me again. You might not recognize me from last year when Gabby so graciously asked me to record a nice clip for you guys, but hi, my name is Ghost. I am one of Gabby's great friends, and she has asked me to once again record a nice video to talk about my charity month that I am doing this year. For the past 4 years, for the month of October, I have been raising money for Game Pink, which is the content creation / streaming branch of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. 4 years ago, when I first started raising for them, I was doing it in the honor of my great-grandmother that I sadly never got to meet due to her shortly passing away after I was born due to breast cancer, but also in the honor of my own mother who has battled breast cancer for many years but has come out victorious. Throughout the past couple of years, October is always filled with very fun collabs, events, and even punishment wheels. And this year is no different. Last year, I raised a whopping $1,000. Which to me is still absolutely insane. I am still in disbelief. And this year, I would like to break my record again. And hey, who knows? This year, if we hit the $1,000 goal, which is a cosplay maid cafe experience live stream, maybe, just maybe, I can convince Gabby to be part of it. And also something else special that I'm doing this year is a horror-themed Minecraft server. I have a couple of friends and fellow content creators joining me as we adventure and try not to die constantly due to scary monsters. But yeah, once again, if you would like to join and raise money for a great cause, my live streams are probably linked below, but also on screen for you now. And once again, Gabby, thank you so much for letting me do this once more and interrupt your beautiful video about trashing some Precure figures. Am I right, everyone? Am I right? I'm right. But anyways, I greatly appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!
Thank you, Ghost. I will have all of his information, his Twitch streams, Twitter, all of that linked in the description so you can check out this Charity Month event. I'm so proud of him. He literally puts so much work into Charity Month that y'all don't get to see, but it's so impressive, and I hope you will check it out. But yeah, now we're gonna get into my problematic obsession. These things. Now onto the presentation. Please take out a pen and paper to take notes on, or if you need to take notes on your laptop, that works for me. But if I see you with your phones out during this lecture, you will lose points for the final exam. Now, my magnum opus. I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but honestly, I really put a lot of work into this PowerPoint. I did not design the beautiful layout. I did use one of the Canva layouts, but please appreciate the beauty. And now let us begin What Happened to the Precure Candy Figures by me, Gabby. Now, my disclaimers and qualifications for this. 1, I'm a Precure collector, as you all know. 2, I've been watching Precure since Futariwa Precure, so I've kind of been here a while. But also, I don't actually know what caused the decline. There's no clear answer anywhere, and I've just been doing random research, reading articles, looking at price changes throughout the years. So truly, I'm just speculating based on what I found online, and I can't definitively speak on what happened, and I'm not speaking for Toei, Bandai, the Precure company. This is truly my thoughts and opinions. Now, what is a candy figure? Now, the candy figures, which are the small Precure figures you usually see behind me in my videos, are a line of Precure figures that started out with the release of Futariwa Precure. Each figure is about 10 centimeters, and they typically were sold individually with a little piece of candy, which got them the nickname the candy figures, but the actual line is called the cutie figures. They are kind of, in a sense, similar to a prize figure. If you're a figure collector, you kind of know the different levels of like figure value. So I would compare them to a prize figure, but I would say a prize figure is usually a little bit better painted, usually a bit larger and more detailed. And so for each season, typically we get a set of these figures. There are some exceptions. I never found out definitively if Splash Star ever received candy figures, but typically every season gets a set of figures. Now, besides the candy figures, which is what I'm just gonna keep calling them for the duration of the video, I know they're called cutie figures. I still call them candy figures. There are other figures that have come out over the years for Precure. However, they're very rare and not every character gets one. For example, there are scale figures of the Heartcatch girlies. I included the photo of Blossoms because that one's like one of my dream figures to get. And then the other line that's pretty common is the SH Figuarts line. So those are like the posable figures. And I don't believe everyone has gotten them. I think it's only been like a few girls. I know recently they're releasing the Peach and the Dream SH Figuarts. And then besides those, the rare exception that I've seen is like, for example, the Cure Peace figure that I have, I think is a Fig Zero figure, which is made by the company that makes the SH Figuarts, but it's a not posable figure. But there are sometimes rare like additional figure lines that get released, but it's definitely not as common as the candy figures. If you are a collector of the Precure candy figures, there's kind of different eras that we've seen. I'm gonna define them as before Star Twinkle and after Star Twinkle. So before Star Twinkle, as you can see, we have well-painted figures. I included some of my favorites. So I have from Smile, Go Princess, Hugto, and like Star Twinkle truly was like one of the best lines we saw. We saw really good painted details. Sometimes we saw transparent details, and typically for a lot of these seasons, we received multiple sets of candy figures. Typically we would get a civilian form set, or if we got a mid-season Cure, we would get another set, but typically for each season, we would get about 2 sets of figures. And also, these figures could be purchased either individually, so like each little box would be one figure, or you could get like a special box set that included the whole cast. Now, when Star Twinkle happened, and honestly, Hugto kind of bleeds into this too, because Hugto also received a lot of sets, but Hugto was an anniversary season, so that was to be expected. But for both seasons of candy figures, we saw an increase in painted details, and we saw the use of transparent plastic used in a lot of the figures, which really added just like, they're just beautiful figures. Honestly, for me personally, anytime friends come over or any not Precure fan looks at my figures, the ones that always catch their eye are the Star Twinkle and Hugto figures because they just have that extra details. They're so beautifully made, and what really took Star Twinkle to like the next level, which was very surprising for it being after an anniversary season, was they received multiple lines. Now, when I'm thinking back, I do know that Maho Tsukai also received a premium line, but their premium line was the redesigns of like their original outfits. I haven't actually seen Maho Tsukai. It's one of the few I haven't watched, but I do know they have like their original candy figures, and then they got like a premium one, which is like their like more magical power-up witch forms. Star Twinkle said, hey, we're gonna look at that and do way more than y'all did. They got their original designs, they got civilian designs, Cure Cosmo got basically an entire box set to herself, and then they released 2 sets of premium figures. That is 5 lines of candy figures. And I remember when I started collecting Star Twinkle, it was impossible to get the premium line. Like, they're still like very expensive, very beautiful figures. But again, keep in mind that all of these figures are still about that 10 centimeter size. They're not big figures. Then we get into after Star Twinkle, which definitely lines up with when I started collecting seasons as they were airing. So actually, if you go back in time to ye old videos of mine, you can see me unboxing basically all of these figures. We're starting with Healing Good. Now, the Healing Good figures, comparatively to the future problems we're gonna have, were honestly pretty decent. They came with their little animals. The only major thing that you notice with them is there was this beginning of like sculpted details that weren't painted. I remember all of their hair had their symbols engraved in them, but none of them were painted or anything. And I do remember there being some issues with the paint jobs in general on the ones that I had. But I, in that time, was so early into collecting that I didn't necessarily see that as a problem. Then we have Tropical Rouge. Now, if you've seen my Tropical Rouge unboxing video, you do know that I ended up with a broken Cure Coral. I still have her, by the way, and don't know what to do with her. But Tropical Rouge was a very interesting turn, in my opinion, and especially seeing how the community reacted to the Tropical Rouge figures. We definitely collectively noticed there was, again, a continuation of lacked painted details, but what also surprised people a lot is this was the first time that a mid-season Cure didn't get a candy figure. I'm talking about how Cure La Mer never got one. Cure Earth and Healing Good got a whole set as well, but Cure La Mer never got a candy figure. She's just, you can only have a little Laura mermaid figure, and that was the only set that came out for Tropical Rouge, which I thought was incredibly surprising because of how popular Laura was. Like, I never understood why she never got one, and I thought it was really interesting that even though Tropical Rouge is probably one of the most popular seasons, especially because it was simulcast on Crunchyroll, you would think they would continue to make more product for Tropical Rouge while it was airing, to, again, continue with the success of it. Then we get to Delicious Party Precure. And oh my goodness, I remember when I was filming that video of me unboxing them, and there's a reason why I do not own my Healing Good and Delicious Party sets anymore. I genuinely am so sad at the decline in the quality. When we got Delicious Party, that was the first time in like a good chunk of time that we did not get customized stands. So typically the candy figures as well, I mean, of the more recent seasons, have gotten a custom stand design for each of the girls. And Delicious Party just gave us cute little flowers. Did not have their names on them, had nothing to do with the theme of the season. It was just weird. And what made it even weirder, again, was the further decline in sculpted details not being painted. They sculpted all these details into the figures and then just deliberately did not paint them, or even mispainted some of them. I remember a lot of people were getting mispainted Cure finales. There was something going on. And what was weird about that release was they were like, oh, there's a mystery figure. So they didn't immediately disclose that Cure Finale was gonna be in that set, but they waited until her release to then release the set of candy figures, which was the first time we had seen that as well. Again, typically a mid-season would get their own kind of next set of figures, but we didn't get that with Delicious, and I don't know why. And I really think that did continue to make mistakes for the candy figure line. Because here we are now with the last two lines that we've had, the last two being Hero Garu and Wonderful Precure. And with how Wonderful Precure is looking, that is why I wanted to make this video, because I've seen the dark sides of Precure Twitter and what y'all think, and it's an entertaining place, all right. So when Hero Garu came out, like I said, Hugto also was an anniversary season, and we got multiple sets, we got transparent details, we got custom stands. They're beautiful figures for, again, the size that they are. I'm not expecting them to be like painted like a scale figure. However, I remember how disappointed I was when I got my Hero Garu set. There's a lot of details that were not painted. There was a lot of mismade pieces. Like my Cure wing, his base is completely destroyed when I got it, and he can barely stand on his stand. Cure Butterfly has a bunch of details that are not painted at all. She literally has her garter sculpted on her leg that is not painted. It is literally the color of her skin. Why? If you're going to like add the detail physically by sculpting it and not painting it, I would rather you just not sculpt it. I just think it looks lazy. I do remember also a lot of people's prisms ended up getting scuffed or damaged in shipment. I remember seeing a lot of people with damaged prisms. And then I remember seeing that they released a premium version of the Hirogaru figures. Now, I do not remember the actual price of the premium set off the top of my head, but do you want to know what the only difference from the premium set was? Because again, in the past, our premium sets were like the power-up designs. The only difference is that they got bases with their names on them. You got to pay more money for their bases to have their names on them, when that is something that we did see for a few years, not at a premium price. And so that was horribly upsetting, not only to me, but to so many people. Like, I genuinely know so many people that at the release of the Hirogaru figures just were done collecting the candy figures. And we did all have hope when Wonderful announced their line. I feel like we all had some hope there, especially with how good Wonderful is doing at the moment. Again, it's another season that is being simulcast on Crunchyroll. Precure is saying that they do notice the increase in their international audience. And what did we get for Wonderful? We probably got the least painted candy figures I have ever seen. Like, honestly, this is embarrassing. Like, you can see just how flat they look. They look like lifeless almost to me. There's so many details in the Wonderful Precure designs that just aren't painted. Again, sculpted, but not painted. I feel like the manufacturers had to have seen how bad this was looking, because do you know what they did? Like, maybe like a month or two later, they were like, we're releasing premium ones. And yes, they are painting some of those sculpted details, but like, it's not a significant enough change that you can justify charging more. It's just crazy to me. Like, you can see there is a difference definitely between the two variants, but to say people are going to be willing to pay more when you technically could just release the better painted versions as your normal figures is really just disgusting to see. So why is this change happening? The manufacturer has continued to stay the same. Bandai is still producing these figures. There's been no change in the manufacturing from the research that I've done, and yet the prices are continuing to go up. Yes, inflation is a thing, and I know the yen to USD, for example, I know yen to USD is much more favorable to USD than it is to yen. So I can understand some amount of price increase. However, as Precure is continuing to grow in global popularity, and Toei has acknowledged the increase in international fans and wanting to connect the Precure community internationally, you would think they would use this opportunity to potentially improve upon their product or expand their line of products. And to further that, a lot of the older seasons are now getting simulcast on Crunchyroll, so you're only going to increase your audience more and more. And especially, there's gonna be people interested in the older seasons that already these figures are hard to get for a reasonable price. Because again, as the prices are increasing, people are reselling them for way more money. What further made me feel even more kind of crazy around this entire thing is that, again, Bandai produces the candy figures. However, Bandai also produces the Precure scale figures and the SH Figuarts. I researched into who owns what in terms of the Precure figure design market. Mega House, who literally just announced this beautiful Cure Black and Cure White scale figure, is owned by Bandai. And the SH Figuarts are also produced by Bandai. So Bandai has the resources to produce beautiful scale figures and posable figures of Precure. And these markets are doing well. Again, there's a lot of people that are looking out for scale figures. Some of the most popular figures that I own are my 15th anniversary Cure Black and Cure White from Mega House because they are beautiful figures. Now, I can already hear what some of you are thinking, but Gabby, Precure is a kids show. Of course they're gonna make small little figures for a kids show because it's for children. However, A lot of popular TV shows that are targeted towards children do end up with scale figures. For example, the Pokemon Kotobukiya scale figures, granted again, Kotobukiya is not associated with Bandai from my research, but Pokemon gets scale figures. I've seen scale figures for Yu-Gi-Oh! I've seen scale figures for a ton of series that are made for children. And yet, that's a whole nostalgic market that they, in theory, could tap into. Now, what can be done to really resolve this issue? These are truly just my theories and what I think they should do from a branding perspective. Again, marketing PR girly here, so this is kind of just like the thing I know about. Option 1, in my opinion, is for them to return to the better quality paint job, but keep the current price increase. Now, I can understand why this is not a favorable option, since we've all kind of collectively seen the rise and fall in price and quality. But I do think that if they now, especially with the re-release of the premium Wonderful figures, we've seen that they can make these well-painted figures. However, they want to lock that behind a premium price point. I think if they just released the premium line as the only line and kept the price increase, I do think people would genuinely continue to collect them. I do, though, think that seeing this change could affect a lot of the people who've been collecting for a long time and have literally watched the decline. I do think it'll be hard to win them back in general for them, because I've literally seen with my own eyes people fully be like, I'm not collecting them anymore. It's not worth it to do anymore. And it's honestly upsetting to see, because I do think they're a really fun piece in my collection. Option 2, in my opinion, is to release a new line of figures. Now, like I said, there are the scale figures and there are the posable SH Figuarts. Both of these lines do very well when they announce them. And so I think because they've already seen an increase in global fans, they've seen an increase in older fans. People are growing up with Precure and they want to collect things that reflect their age. And I think developing more scale figures would be a great benefit to them, especially certain characters that are incredibly popular. Again, we saw the re-release of Peach and Dream, and I do think we probably will see other characters, mainly the leaders, get released as SH Figuarts. And I do think that potentially if this Mega House figure does well, maybe they will release other anniversary scale figures. But I do think tapping into these markets makes sense since their fan base is growing and getting older. Now on to option 3, which I personally think is the best option for them at this point when they want to bring back the people that have become disappointed in the candy figures and people that are interested in collecting more scales and posable figures. I think they should start working with an outside manufacturer. In my personal opinion, working with Good Smile Company and their line of pop-up parades, I think would be a great opportunity for Precure. The pop-up parade line, as you all know, if you've watched my pop-up parade unboxing videos, is a line of figures that is higher quality than a prize figure, but is not the level of a scale figure. A lot of pop-up parades are being made for older series or series that people have a lot of nostalgia for, and also for series that don't typically get a lot of figures. And I think honestly, they could very easily do a line of pop-up parade Precure figures. I remember at one point someone made like a joke out of it on Twitter and did like a fake Precure Nendoroid announcement, but I even think that could be a good option. I think they could even do a line of Precure leader Nendoroids and people would buy them. There is that nostalgia and people want options to collect their favorite characters. And I think working with an outside manufacturer, again, I don't know how like the legalities of that would go. Like I know Bandai would have to like release the design to Good Smile Company or something like that in order for the figures to be made. I do think if Bandai wants to continue to increase Precure sales, they may potentially have to look into a partnership with a well-received figure company to further increase sales. Because honestly, I didn't even know that Mega House was owned by Bandai until I looked it up. I thought Mega House was its own company. And that's why I thought the Precure figures that came out from them were so nice. No, it's all owned by the same people, which is crazy. So in conclusion, I do genuinely want to keep supporting Precure. As you know, it is one of my favorite series. I've grown up with it. I love collecting from it. It's so important to me. And every season, for the most part, excluding like certain ones that I have not watched yet or just did not enjoy, they've each kind of touched me in a different way. And I want to own a piece of that in my environment. However, as I've seen the quality decline and the price only increase, I genuinely have questioned whether or not it's worth it to keep collecting them, and if me even buying a set really does show whether or not I really, as a consumer, think they're worth it. Like, I almost sometimes feel bad recommending them to people because of just the overall decrease. And especially as the older seasons have continued to increase in price, it's just hard for me to really recommend them to people. There definitely is a market for higher quality Precure figures. The day that someone made that fake Nendoroid announcement, it was all over my Twitter. Like, everyone was so genuinely excited for the thought of Cure Black and Cure White getting Nendoroids. And I know they are like the ones that get everything, but truly you kind of need to start with them in order to really like prove the success of a line. Or at least make Nendoroids of the Precure characters that they know are the more popular characters. Like, honestly, I think if they made like Go Princess Precure Nendoroids where you could change their dresses, that would do so well. People would love that. People would buy that. People would buy those. I truly do think if Bandai can't physically produce an increased quality of product, they should potentially look into other sources or other companies they could work with. Because even I've seen really beautiful Precure garage kits that are made by independent artists that look way better than the Precure figures we've been getting. So there are people that possess the talent to make these figures, and I think even if they worked with like an independent artist to design a mold for better figures, that even could be a great option. So I think Bandai just needs to either rework their manufacturing or potentially look at outside sources to improve the figure lines that they're releasing for Precure. And yeah, thanks for watching my presentation. I will accept questions in the description, but also please know that I don't have like all the answers. I really don't. I wish I did. I don't have the answers to all of the problems we're facing. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching this week's video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new here, yes, you, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's right there. Woo! And in the comments, like I said, leave me any of your questions or thoughts on this whole like Precure figure decline. I've had so many conversations with people about this because I feel like so many of us are genuinely upset at what's been happening. And to be completely honest, I personally don't even know if I will be buying a set of Wonderful. If anything, I kind of want to get the premium ones. However, if I see any of you reselling them for ridiculous prices, I will be very upset because I already know it's going to be hard to get them. If you would like to see any of my figure collection up close, I do post a lot of my figures over on my TikTok and Instagram, so I have both of those linked in the description of the video. Also, like I said at the beginning, I will have my friend Ghost's Twitch and Twitter linked in the description so you can check out his charity month. He's doing all sorts of different streams, playing different games, doing lots of things. The prizes are like tiers of like, if you donate more, he's gonna do way more fun things. I don't know if he wants me to say what potentially could happen if we hit the donation goal. But I think y'all should help him hit the donation goal because it is for a really good cause. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!